Hey there, folks. We're back in Train Sim Classic today, but doing something a little bit different. I was approached by a well known member of the Train Sim Classic community, aka the Brocc, author and creator of many very cool mods out there that can be found on the Train Sim Classic community. I think it's just called Train Sim Community website. Anyway, he said, "Hey man, you ever thought about making like a video or talking about your graphic settings?" And I said no, and that's a damn good idea. So this is full credit to the Brocc for the question and idea for the video, and possibly others relating to train sims, but felt it only right to cover TSC first, an ancient sim by today's standards, yet fully passable um, and possible to make look nice with the right things. System specs, of course, will be the primary thing of what you can achieve is what you have on your PC or your laptop, so on and so forth. So for my specs personally, I've got a Ryzen 5800X, so nothing new age by any standards. GeForce RTX 4070 Ti, 12 GB VRAM, 64 gigabyte system memory, pretty standard nowadays, I guess. On an SSD using the terrible, terrible Windows 11 that I wish I could get 10 back. But we'll go over what you can do in the game, some other things, some third-party apps, and I'd like to hear what you guys um, may have found over the last year, months, or so on and so forth regarding what you can do just to make Train Sim Classic run and look a little bit better for this ancient video game. All right, we are in Train Sim Classic. And again, great posed question by the Brocc, because I do get asked fairly often in some of the videos I make, like, hey, how do you get your graphics to look like that? So on and so forth. And I try to respond to as many comments as I can get to in a timely manner. And sometimes, things, life, hectic, busyness, fall by the wayside, can't respond. So hopefully this will help a lot of folks kind of hone in on what's going on with my videos anyway, and what I use for Train Sim Classic, and what you can use to kind of spice things up a little bit, put a little seasoning on that steak or vegetable if you don't eat meats. Anyway, we're in the menu settings, top right hand corner. Blammers, first things first. So I've got master detail set to custom. When you start messing around with this stuff, it'll set that to custom automatically, I believe. Now, resolution, you'll see it is set at 2560 by 1440 because I use 1440p. I've got a 32-inch concave screen, two of them. Only one of them's on the game, and I use 1440 native resolution. That is what I use. So that kind of sharpens things up a little bit in its own right. So whatever you have your system set at and your screen set at by the resolution will certainly help. If it's like 720 or lower, you're definitely going to notice things are going to look a bit pixelated, not too spicy. Got this set to borderless. I've always heard over time it's the best place to have it. Dynamic lighting you want on. As it says, it can affect the appearance of the game. I don't think it'll really affect the performance of the game too much, but if you use some of the third-party apps that we'll go over here in just a minute, it requires dynamic lighting. Now, the one I do not have ticked is dynamic clouds, which again, I believe it's only actually, I believe it's both third-party pieces of software that I use for Train Sim Classic say not to use this, so I just have that unticked. This is all down to your preference, this stuff right here, the contrast. So basically, when you go to the right, it'll kind of make things a bit darker. If you go to the left with the dot, it'll make things a bit brighter and washed out. Brightness, my system, everybody's systems will vary, obviously, but mine's always been a kind of dark, and then sometimes I'll install a driver and it'll just totally change the way things look. Ambient light, I've got just about right there in the middle, a little bit down. Sunlight intensity, a little bit down as well. We'll click the advanced, and this is where you have some more master details. So anti-aliasing plays a big, big, big role. And I'm just going to go over what I use, my stuff, what I'm familiar with, my experiences and examples. But there's a lot of other stuff out there you can do for Train Sim Classic to make this ancient game look a bit more crispy bacon. So first thing right off the bat, I'm maxed out on this, and this does tank. This is one of the biggest things that will tank the game's performance. So kind of play around with this and see what works for you. Get a nice kind of median FPS that you want. That's just not going to tank the crap out of the game. I've got it FXAA plus 3 by 3 super sampling anti-aliasing. So that's maxed out on the anti-aliasing. Texture filtering, I've got that maxed out as well at anisotropic times 8 or by 8. Scenery quality, maxed out. Scenery density, maxed out. View distance, maxed out. You can bring that down a skosh if you'd like. That will, create a bit more kind of fuzzy on the horizon and pop in and things like that. But again, if your system can handle it, and if you're not totally aware, totally sure, it's really all down to your processor, your CPU. That's what Train Sim Classic highly depends upon is your CPU. I mean, you can have a graphics card from like 15 years ago, and if you have a good CPU, the game will still look pretty damn good, to be honest. So I've got these three maxed out. Field of view, that's your preference. Again, it's just kind of the zoom in or zoomed out effect of the game. Shadow quality, I've got that maxed out. Water quality, it's one of those things, again, where it's just personal preference. I don't think it has too much performance degradation within the game. It may a little bit. I've got it down one tick instead of being maxed out, so you won't see things like pure reflections and things like that of let's say rail cars and assets in the world and things like that. You may just see like a blob instead of something that says, like, we'll say BNSF on the side of the engine, etc. It may just be a blank side on the engine instead of seeing the logo or lettering and things like that. Next, I've got procedural flora on. That is your mileage may vary and your taste may vary thing as well. Sometimes it looks great, sometimes it doesn't. It's a coin flip. That's a tough one. So again, just see what that looks like for you. Sometimes it looks absolutely abysmal. Sometimes it looks pretty damn good. Adaptive bloom, I've got that ticked on as well. Just kind of makes the overall lighting of the world just a bit more normal and natural, kind of soft. Just from my experience, headlight flares, that's your flares, obviously. Now, Dovetail Games updated the game, what was it, like 2 years ago now, and kind of messed up something in the code with the flares to where they didn't pop up until the train got really close, and it was mainly with third-party content. I honestly don't know if they've corrected that or not, to be fair. So that was an issue. But what that is basically you need that to see your lights on your trains, on your rolling stock and things like that. You don't have that ticked, you will not see lights essentially emitting. Now the train, like if you're in the cab view or engineer view or seat or whatever within the cab, you will see light still being cast on the track in front of you if you've got lights on. What this means primarily, if I'm not mistaken, is if you're looking outside doing like some rail fan photo taking, things like that, you won't see the lights emitting from the train. So of course you want that on, right? Camera motion blur. I've got motion blur off on everything I play. I absolutely hate it. Ambient occlusion, that is another big one. That's a big dog. And if you've got a good PC, CPU, and all that good stuff, let the big dog eat. Otherwise, I've got mine off. It is very taxing on your system and on the game itself. But again, third-party apps we'll go over in just a second, cover some things that kind of do with the ambient occlusion, etc. So we'll leave that. We'll stick a pin in that for now. Depth of field, I like that. I like it to look like there's some depth to the screen, to the game world, and things like that I'm playing. So I've got that ticked. Camera depth of field off. And that is it, guys. That is it for the basic in-game settings. And let's go over some other stuff. Okay, so we are in the NVIDIA control panel. Apologies if you can't see anything very well with how small everything looks, but this is another area that you can kind of get in and kind of tweak some things if you'd like. I currently don't have anything going on in here. Sometimes I will use it to bump up, like super res it to like 4K or something like that, or use DSR. So I'm not too sure about AMD stuff. I used to run AMD gear several years ago. I've totally forgotten. I don't even know what the software is called with that, but you can play around with that. Maybe, let some tips rip down in the comments for other folks that have AMD gear, because there's some very good AMD gear out there. If you have any tips as far as like, trying to help performance and graphics and things like that for Train Sim Classic. But one of the biggest things you can do is, so I'm on the manage 3D settings thing right here. So we'll go over here and go down. I'll try and click on it here. DSR factors. So dynamic super resolution. This is kind of one of the things where, say, you don't want to put the in-game anti-aliasing maxed out because it can tank performance. Say you just want to turn it off or just have it on the first through fourth setting in that. If you click one of these here, and I usually do the top one here, which is same quality, 2 times more efficient versus the legacy scaling, which has a bit more kind of customization down there. I usually stick up to the top 2. So if I do this one right here, that's pretty much 4K, if I'm not mistaken, the 3840 by 2160. And that can look very, very sharp and very crispy as well. And that is primarily going to be down to your graphics card. So if you've got a pretty decent graphics card, that will certainly help in that department. And you can kind of play around with that and go in the game, see what it looks like, try the aliasing in the game. Because the sharper the game is and the higher the resolution, the less kind of aliasing matters to a degree. Not fully, obviously. So you'll just have to kind of play around with a lot of these settings and see where they fit with you. There's some other stuff in here that people do that I don't really mess with. You can bump up the aliasing in here. For example, the FXAA up here. You've got some texture filtering down here that you can kind of mess with and things like that. But as far as NVIDIA control panel, I just really only mess with the DSR primarily if I'm recording, like right now with some titles, some sims. I'll try and just bump it up, make it a little bit sharper just right off the rip. Mainly I don't really mess with NVIDIA control panel too much. All right, this is one of the bigger deals about making the game look nice. The game being, again, Train Sim Classic, Train Simulator. I think it's just called Train Simulator now. They kind of did away with the numbering. But I've only got the Pro, as you'll note on the top that says Pro. I think they've got like 2.0. They've probably got something else out right now. I honestly do not know. But I've been using Pro with good effect for a very, very long time. It's been numerous years. I've been using this, and this has got files that you can get from people. You can download off the internet and throw them right in and have nice settings if you want something colorful, if you want something sharp, etc. If you want like, flora and vegetation to look nice and just all kinds of stuff you can tweak within this. This is a very cool third-party tool that you can use for Train Sim Classic that I've been using for a very long time, starting with the original one that came out. So I'll just go over some of the stuff here that you can use. SSAO, I've got that currently turned off. As you can see here, it does tax the system quite a bit, but it can make it look fairly good. You've got your reflections. This is a big one right here because a lot of developers, not going to point any fingers or name any names here, but a lot of developers, especially some of the yesteryear developers, got that alpha going crazy, and it makes rolling stock and engines extremely shiny, like it's been just painted with Vaseline in Diddy Lube. Like, it's insane. So this is turned all the way off for me. You can bump it up a little bit and leave a little reflection on there if you'd like, but this is just fully off for me. You've got depth of field enhancements that can tweak some things, but I've just got that turned off. You don't really need it. It kind of blurs some things in the distant background, which can not look great on some occasion. Sometimes it can look good, but the thing with that is, and the thing with all this, guys, let's be honest here, this whole video trying to cover what you can do to make it look good, 99.99% of something that's going to look good in Train Sim Classic boils down to the product itself. So the rolling stock pack, the locomotive, the route, the assets, if those are new and fresh and high res and good quality, that's your foundation. That's your strong foundation. You can kind of make some very older stuff look good, but not as nice as some of the really nice third-party stuff that you can get. That is the quickest way to like getting your thing, your game, your sim to look nice is just having some good content, some good DLC right off the rip. That's what you want for sure. So in here, I've got procedural flora off. Now this is just enhancements. I do have it in the game. I should have turned that off, but I forgot I left it on. So whatever, it's kind of mismatching there as far as procedural flora. You've got light glow enhancements, sun shadow enhancements. You got light intensity multipliers. This is all very scientific stuff, and I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't understand a whole hell of a lot of it. It's very confusing, but by default, in most cases, I think you're pretty good. You're going to be pretty good. You'll be able to get online and see what people run and what files, or INIs is the files called that people use for this. But or you could just try and rip these settings. These aren't very crazy settings, so you could just stop the video, pause the video, screenshot this if you'd like. If you have Railworks Enhancer Pro. Now Railworks Enhancer, I think it's called 2.0, is way more in depth. You can do so much more. I can't even start to comprehend what the hell you can do within the software with that. I mean, it's insane the amount of stuff that you can do with 2.0. And this is just Pro. So this is like the middle of the road Railworks Enhancer app that I'm using here. So FXAA edge blurring intensity, I've got that maxed out so you don't notice the the kind of jig jag effect, with anti-aliasing, or aliasing, not anti-aliasing, but aliasing. You want anti-aliasing. You do not want aliasing. I know it kind of sounds backwards sometimes, but I've got that maxed out. If you want the nicest, smoothest, crispiest. No, I'm just making shit up. Yeah, I've got that maxed out. HDR, this has a lot to do with your in-game lighting. These three right here. I've got the exposure down a little bit just so the game world, or the sim world, is not overly bright and just kind of insane looking, and it just makes everything kind of blend together, if I'm honest. Bloom intensity all the way down. I don't really like bloom too much, so I've got mine all the way down. Bloom color to saturation. If I don't have bloom going, I don't need bloom color to saturation, so that's all the way down as well. Color banding fix, it's just the overall color fix of the sim itself. Gamma, I've got that right in the middle. Image sharpness, again, you can just make the game look a bit more crispy. Spicy meatball, if that's what you want to go for. Image contrast boost multiplier. So this has got a lot to do with like the kind of darkness of colors and lighting and things like that, if I'm not mistaken. That's toned down. Color vibrance I've got up just a little bit because the game world, in the sim, I keep saying game world like it's one thing. Various maps and things like that can look a bit too dull or desaturated. So that's just kind of booped up a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Again, if you want to copy these settings, if you've got Railworks Enhancer Pro, and the first Railworks Enhancer, I don't know if you can get it, is largely the same as this. There is some new things. But if you want to copy these settings, go for it. I'm going to be honest. Somebody gave me these settings, and I use them because they look pretty good. They're not, they're not too insane. They're not too bright. They're not too colorful. They're not too dark. It's kind of just middle of the road. Now, this, my friends, is where you can get. I tried to do the French accent. I think these dudes are French that made the Railworks Enhancer app. You get it from Railworks Central, and it's on here. This is where you get it. So this is the original Railworks Enhancer right here. I guess you can get it. €7. So what's that, like $8 bucks? That's not too bad. Let's see. Maybe that is the only one you can get now. But this is, oh, here we go. It's over here on the right. I am an idiot. So this is the one I've got here in the middle. We'll click that. That's Railworks Enhancer Pro. So it's €13, which is like, I'm crap with the equivalents of prices. It's like 15 bucks probably. It's easy to install. It's got everything you need. This is a trustworthy site. I've not had any issues with this site. This is, these people are legit. They take care of their product. They stand by their product, and I don't think they try and do any kind of nefarious activities. And they've got a download section, forums. So if you've got questions and things like that, let them rip down in here. But it's pretty easy to get to. You've got your payment options over here on the side. I generally use PayPal if at all possible, just for ease and safety and things like that. But you can see over here, you've got Railworks Enhancer 2, which is the newest, latest, and greatest. This sumbitch is 24 euros, so that's a lot of monies. But there is a lot you can do with this, and I'm sure there's a lot of videos out there. So if you want to look at Railworks Enhancer 2, just look at these videos here. Or videos, I'm an idiot. These pictures, which, that one. What's that, New Jersey coastline? That's old-ass route, so it's kind of hard to tell. But then again, so is that right there up top. The video, the photos are kind of hard to tell. I'd recommend going and looking at some videos. Maybe some third-party folks have made. But this app can certainly make the game look a lot better. I can't attest to the dose, but the Pro that I have, like when I turn it off just to kind of mess around and see if I can get any performance, it looks terrible. I have to immediately turn it back on. I cannot imagine playing Trains in Classic without this now. All right, folks, last but certainly not least, this is a very important part of it all, because the weather or the skybox in a map or scenario can make an absolute world of difference of how the overall lighting looks and the clouds. I mean, some of the old like Kuju and original Railworks weather and skyboxes look abysmal. Like it's hilarious how some developers, and I get it. Some developers that release stuff on Steam via Dovetail Games who publish it for them, they don't want to use third-party stuff and, put something out there that may not be available to everybody, if you get what I'm saying. So completely vanilla, but like some of these screenshots you see and stuff that's been released in the last couple of weeks where the sky looks like friggin' chocolate milk with like marshmallow clouds, like it looks stupid, I'm sorry to say, but this certainly helps that. So if you want to get this and make your skyboxes look better, it will definitely do that. I think you go to enhancements. This is of course Armstrong Powerhouse. I'm sure not any kind of new person on the scene, as far as like train sim stuff, primarily the United Kingdom stuff. I think there's just one route that he's got still, and then a lot of enhancement packs, a lot of controversy as well as far as removing some enhancement packs and adding new ones. We're not going to get into that. We're here for them puffy clouds. I think you just go down to, nope, I'm an idiot. You go to general. And then here it is, cloud enhancement pack, but there is a sky and weather enhancement pack. So you need one or the other. I think you actually need both. So this is the enhancement to the sky and weather pack. So this is the original one right here that you'll need to get the nice looking skies. And I mean, you could just look at that thumbnail right there, like, damn, that looks good, because it does. Let's be honest, it does look good. So that's £20, which is about 23, 24 bucks, I think, US or whatever. Do your calculations and wherever you may be for your monetary units and bits. But that's 20 something bucks right there, which is definitely worth it. I mean, it just makes the game look so much nicer. And then if you want an assortment of just some of the most insane clouds that you can get, which this was a bit of a controversy as well when this released, but I'm all on board about it because, I mean, some of the options in this are absolutely insane. If you want half of your skybox to be clear, and then you've got like a cold front rolling in on the other half of the skybox with just absolutely insane thunderheads that reach miles into the sky, and it looks like some Wizard of Oz shit's about to go down, that's this pack right here. But just the basic one alone still looks very nice. I mean, it changes how the rain looks. It changes how winter and snow looks. You've got fog. You've got your kind of regular puffy cumulus clouds. You've got your stratospheric clouds, which are the really high kind of wispy clouds. There's a lot that you can do with these. But this is the one that you'll need first if you do get this. I'll link all these sites down below if you want to go and check these out and decide if you want to purchase them. By the way, these sites did not give me anything, nor am I, shilling for these sites. This is just stuff that I use. If they would like to pay me or give me free stuff, I'm on board. I would welcome that very much. But no, I bought this stuff, some years ago. So I'll link these down below if you want to go and check these out. But that's it, guys. That's how I get my Train Sim Classic looking the way it does. I'd love to hear how you guys get on. I know there's a couple apps out there that are different than what I use here. That there's other stuff that you can do, like DX. What is it called? DXVG or something. There's some other program that you can use, and then there's one that I use for Run 8 Train Simulator, and we'll go over that at some point. That's obviously going to be a separate video in itself. But that's it, guys. Just going over graphical things with Train Sim Classic. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any tips on how to get the game to run better while still looking nice, definitely let us know in the comments below. But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, we'll see you next time. Take care.